Hey, it's JC1424 once again with another album review, and today we're going to be talking about the new album from the Black Keys called Dropout Boogie, released on May 13th, 2022. I first discovered the Black Keys when they had a song in this game right here called Strange Times. Then there was another one in a FIFA game on the PSP, and that was Tighten Up. I think that one was relatively popular. I heard it in other places. Then, of course, there was Gold on the Ceiling. We all know that one's like their biggest freaking song ever. I couldn't get away from that one. But let's talk about this album. Track 1 is Wild Child, and it opens up the album to the theme of reliving youth and chasing a girl or just daydreaming about her. And it was the lead single, and it's definitely the go-to song with its catchy hook and hard, distorted bass riff, something we get a lot from the Black Keys. You get a nice bounce from the rhythm with the bass drum, too. And I love that organ and the twangy guitar in the back.
I'm just a stranger with a twisted smile and a wandering eye.
It Ain't Over is track 2, and I think this was the follow-up single that I just never got around to until actually listening to the album, of course. But it's a lot like Black Magic Woman, just surely a bit more up-tempo than that. Ironically, it does view the dating game as a complete gambling addiction of sorts that you get sucked into at a young age and all that. Everything is kind of slimy, like the watery percussion and the boopy bass. Even the guitar solo has this lazy tuning that I find slightly admirable. The chorus can be a tad whiny, but that synthesizer is so sweet.
Money and love ain't no sure thing. You live for a thrill, you die for a dream, and when it comes around.
The third song on this album, For the Love of Money, is another characteristic of their younger lives, about doing anything for money because as far as they're concerned, they can get whatever they want that way. It's full of high vocals and good harmonies. It's got a rad guitar tone that takes a minute to come in, while the song has this interesting spacey atmosphere the whole time. As a whole, the beat does feel like recycled material from them, just after hearing Let's Rock on my part. On track 4, Your Team Is Looking Good, I'm thinking this is essentially a song about sports and how that in hindsight, school don't matter that much to them in this day and age they're talking about. It's probably the corniest thing on the album lyrically. But don't get me wrong, it kind of slaps. It has this moderately dirty tone to match the dust off them hands aspect that it's going for. I just can't stop thinking about the soccer scene in the Battleship movie, where, you know, these two sides of the military branches are like coming together for like a soccer cup. And in the background, mixed into it, is Gold on the Ceiling by the Black Keys.
Hey, over there, your team is looking good.
Good Love, featuring Billy F. Gibbons, is track 5. And for most of the song, he just kind of tags along to fill things in and duet the guitar with Dan's voice. The bass guitar hits them upbeats just right from beginning to end, and the keyboard resonates precisely with the mood. But by the end, you can tell who's playing without even knowing whenever you get to this unhinged ZZ Top-esque solo. Now, this song isn't really saying all that much in my opinion, just that you don't know what love is supposed to be like for a while, and you don't know exactly what you're looking for whenever you're at a young age, so you go through it a few times, I guess. How Long is the 6th song on this album, and I find this one to be a very hypnotic change of pace for the album. Much like Pink Floyd having mystical effects while the guitar just kind of echoes around in circles. Then, much like late 90s Tool, Dan uses an open jaw singing style. And again, the way the guitar's tone is, it reminds me of that as well. When that chorus finally comes in, it truly is a wave of emotion because of the tone from me.
You give yourself to another guy. Never give a love another try.
The 7th song on this album is called Burn the Damn Thing Down. With a name like that, it's musically underwhelming in comparison, but I'd say lyrically it's tongue-in-cheek at the very least. There's a nasty, narrow guitar tone on them chords with an effect on the piano that makes it sound almost like an accordion, in my opinion. This combination gives the song its driving feel, like a chugging train again, if you think back to track 3. Happiness is the 8th track on this album, and it's a totally laid-back, slow burner, and a message to their past selves to not be too patient finding that person that they're happy being with. You can be unsure for a few seconds, but them guitar chords will just pull you right in. And the chorus, oh my god, it's so satisfying. And it just gets better and better and better each time. Ugh! And the solo alone is decent, but the tambourine is what sells it. And then finally, you get this really cool drum fill at the end. The second to last song on the album is track 9, and it's called Baby I'm Coming Home. The vocal melodies are totally the main element from the very beginning, but they also sound oddly familiar to my ears, like I've heard them in some other classic song at some point. I wouldn't say the riff is anything special, but the way everything progresses using that definitely is. Now, I have no idea who Sadie is, but the road home concept leads me to believe that she's up in heaven, or the guy is rehabilitating and he's finding his way back in touch with reality and her. And again, how it transitions into a new tempo is just really fun. And when it goes back for the outro, there's just so much attention to detail.
Baby, save me from the road. Yeah.
Didn't I Love You is track 10, the final song on the album, and it is not the best possible ending by any means, in my opinion. We've already heard a couple songs with this one's approach at some points during like the 30-minute runtime of the album. It is kind of badass though, the way that Patrick rushes sometimes. Honestly, he carries the music in his own way. He really gets on them cymbals too to close it off in a way that he never has before at any point during the album. Dan just plays the guitar synonymously with his vocals for the most part, kind of like Billy F. Gibbons did on the song Good Love on this album. But the freestyle ensemble of sorts to make this big ending is nice. But my final score for the new album by the Black Keys, Dropout Boogie, released on May 13th, 2022, is an 84%, which is a B-. Borderline C+, but, you know, it's a B nonetheless. I'm having a hard time deciding whether I like this album or Let's Rock more, though. It's difficult for me to decide because this one was more consistent. Now, Let's Rock, it was less consistent, but it was more interesting for that reason. On that album, I just recall that there was like commercial hook songs and then just, you know, solid, catchy bangers, and some with just a lot of soul that fit into that same category or just really move me. So you got 3 or 4 different song types versus this one. Everything is like very coherent and consistent in a way that can almost bore me. It depends on, you know, at what pacing I'm listening to the album. If I'm just, you know, start to finish or I'm stopping in between each song, it can change everything. The first time I listened to this album, I was mowing the lawn. So it's good lawn mowing music. I can give you that. But let me know your opinions on this album versus the last one after their hiatus, whenever they lost one of their touring members. And it was a big deal. It's probably why it was moving. But yeah, tell me your favorite songs. I think my favorite ones from this album had to be Wild Child and definitely the song How Long, with the elements that were so different from what I'm used to hearing from the Black Keys. But oh my goodness, this final clip of the video took so many takes. God, I hate recording album reviews. I love putting them out and working on them. I hate recording them because I'm like OCD and I have to get it perfect. See you next time. That's that. And album review over.